Welcome to the Roy Morgan Weekly Update. It's official. It's been a good week for the Albanese government, with support for the ALP increasing and key weekly indicators moving in the right direction as King Charles and Queen Camilla visit Australia for the first time. The ALP on 52%, up 2%, now leads the coalition on 48% on a two-party preferred basis. That's the largest lead for the government since mid-June. And if a federal election were held now, the ALP would be returned with a narrow majority. Looking at these federal voting intention figures on a state-by-state basis, the ALP gained ground in Queensland, which is facing a tighter than expected state election this weekend as the ALP closes the gap, and in New South Wales, which held 3 state by-elections on the weekend. The Liberal Party lost one of these seats to a Teal independent, a concerning sign for the opposition heading towards another federal election. There were also swings to the ALP in Western Australia and South Australia, which helped boost support for the Albanese government nationally. Government confidence, whether people think the country's going in the right or the wrong direction, increased 4.5 points to 80.5, but is still well below the neutral level of 100. This is because there was an increase in Australians saying the country's going in the right direction. 33.5%, up 2%, say we're going in the right direction. That said, a majority of 53% still say the country's going in the wrong direction. Consumer confidence also improved. ANZ Roy Morgan consumer confidence was up 4.1 points to 87.5. This is the highest consumer confidence since January 2023, well over 18 months ago. It's also the first time consumer confidence has broken above 85 since early last year. More good news on our concerns about inflation. This week, ANZ Roy Morgan inflation expectations fell 0.1%. Australians are now expecting annual inflation to be 4.5%. over the next 2 years. This is the lowest inflation expectations have been for over 3 years since September 2021. And now to the latest figures on mortgage stress. Roy Morgan's the only company that measures mortgage stress every month, and the latest mortgage stress figures show mortgage stress has eased for 3 months in a row. Now 28.3% of Australians with a mortgage are at risk of mortgage stress. That's down 1.2% on a month ago and down 2% since June 2024 before the Stage 3 tax cuts. The decline in mortgage stress is primarily due to rising household incomes, particularly since the tax cut, which along with extended pause in interest rate increases since late last year has really reduced the financial pressure on some mortgage holders. Looking forward, the key ABS September quarter inflation figure will be released next week, and that'll guide the Reserve Bank's decision-making at its last 2 meetings this year in early November and December. If inflation figures continue to decline throughout the next few months, this will ease pressure on the Reserve Bank and lead to likely interest rate cuts next year, further easing the pressure on mortgage stress. And finally this week to the Queensland election being held on Saturday. The Roy Morgan Risk Lab undertook a program of qualitative research on trust and distrust in Queensland in the context of the election. The results show that Queensland election is being held in a trust vacuum. The 3 major parties, the Labor Party, the LNP and the Greens, are all more distrusted than trusted, as are the 2 leaders, Premier Stephen Miles and Opposition Leader David Crisafulli. Only one nation was more trusted than distrusted. When asked thinking about the Queensland election, who do you trust and who do you distrust, nearly 90% of respondents failed to mention either party leader. For a more detailed analysis of the results on the special deep dive into the Queensland election, watch our special Queensland election webinar, linked below. And that's a wrap. Thanks for viewing Roy Morgan's latest results this week, and I'll be back next week to bring you the most up-to-date readings on consumer confidence, inflation expectations, and voting intention in Australia. Thanks for listening.